all men should watch this video. 10 clear signs you both like each other. Stoicism. Modern Stoic. He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. Lao Tzu. Have you ever sat across from someone and felt something unspoken pass between you? No dramatic stares, no poetic words, just a quiet moment that felt different. Not every connection needs to be spelled out. In fact, sometimes the silence between two people says more than words ever could. Today, I want to walk you through 10 subtle psychology-backed signs that reveal when two people genuinely feel a connection, even if neither of them has said a thing. You don't need to ask, does she like me? The answer is already there, in the way she looks back a second too long, in the pause that lingers between sentences, in the effortless way you fall into sync. After years studying human behavior and real-world relationships, one truth stands out. Attraction isn't always loud. It's not always obvious. More often, it lives in the smallest details we tend to overlook. Once you learn to recognize these signs, you won't need to guess anymore. You'll know. So pay close attention, because someone in your life might already be giving you these signals. And once you see them, you won't be able to unsee them. Sign 1. Magnetic eye contact. There's a force few men truly understand until they experience it. The magnetic pull of eye contact that lingers a second longer than expected. It doesn't need words. It doesn't need touch. It just is. You look at her, and she looks at you, and in that silent moment, something ancient stirs, a spark, a whisper from the unconscious that says, this means something. The truth is, when two people are genuinely drawn to each other, eye contact becomes more than just looking. It becomes communication. As the old saying goes, the eyes are the window to the soul. You don't need a philosopher to explain that. You felt it. That one glance that holds a little longer than it should. That half smile that says, I see you. And if you've both looked, then looked away with a smile or a breathless pause, that's not awkwardness. That's chemistry. And you need to recognize it for what it is. This phenomenon isn't just poetic. It's backed by biology. Prolonged eye contact activates your brain's dopamine system, the same system responsible for the pleasure you get from a win, a reward, or even falling in love. It's raw. It's real. It's the reason your heartbeat changes, your thoughts sharpen, and suddenly your world narrows down to the person in front of you. This isn't a coincidence. It's instinct. When her gaze locks onto yours and doesn't flinch, when her eyes search yours for a moment longer than usual, this is the moment most men ignore, overthink, or dismiss. Don't. That fleeting stare is a clear sign. You're not imagining things. Something is happening. You're not just seeing her. You're connecting with her. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts. If your thoughts in that moment are clear, confident, and anchored in presence, she will feel it. Stoicism teaches us to control what we can and observe what we cannot. When it comes to eye contact, your job is not to dominate, but to remain still, aware, and grounded. Be the calm centre of the storm. Let your stillness speak louder than nervous chatter. That subtle war between holding the gaze and looking away is ancient. It's a primal test of confidence, trust, and emotional depth. And guess what? If she breaks the gaze with a soft laugh or a shy glance downward, don't mistake it for disinterest. That's vulnerability. That's real. And it might just be the start of something meaningful. In a world of distractions and superficial connections, eye contact is one of the last sacred tools for genuine intimacy. You can fake words, you can fake smiles, but the eyes don't lie. They show fear, curiosity, desire, and hope all at once. That's why every man should pay attention. Don't overlook these signs. Don't dismiss your gut feeling when you sense the unspoken. Be present. Be real. That moment of connection might never come again. And if you're both looking away and back again, almost afraid to be caught in the truth of what you're feeling, that is the beginning of something profound. It's not just attraction. It's understanding without words. So here's the challenge. The next time it happens, hold the gaze. Don't flinch. Let your presence speak. Let your stillness become your strength. You don't need clever lines or perfect timing. You need awareness. You need to notice. The magnetic pull between two souls isn't loud. It's silent, strong, and fleeting. Miss it, and it's gone. But recognize it, and it could change everything. Remember, the eyes often reveal what the heart isn't ready to say. Watch closely. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced that kind of eye contact, the kind that stops time for just a moment? The kind that said more in silence than 100 words ever could? Share your story in the comments. Let's talk about what most men ignore. This is your space. Speak truth. Keyword phrases repeated naturally. Magnetic eye contact, wordless connection, eye contact. Sign 2. Mirroring each other's body language. Have you ever found yourself sitting across from someone and, without realizing it, your body starts to move in rhythm with theirs? You shift in your seat and they follow. You lean in and they do too. This subtle, almost invisible dance is not a trick of the mind or a fluke of timing. It's something far deeper. It's called mirroring, a powerful and primal sign of emotional alignment. Psychologists call this the chameleon effect, and it's a form of unconscious mimicry that signals connection, trust, and a shared wavelength. When we mirror someone, we're not just copying motions, we're revealing what's happening beneath the surface. Our mirror neurons, the parts of the brain that help us feel empathy and understand others, light up. They create a bridge between two people, one body responding to another like a reflection in still water. This isn't just science, it's an ancient instinct. Mirroring is the body's way of saying, I see you, I feel you, I trust you. In a world that's noisy, fast, and full of facades, these small, almost silent signs are where the truth hides. Don't dismiss it as coincidence. That small moment when both of you laugh in sync, shift posture together, or echo each other's tone, that's your nervous system in dialogue. It's chemistry, not chance. Especially for men in the modern age, where direct emotion is often buried under social conditioning, understanding mirroring is like holding a compass in a chaotic emotional landscape. It tells you that something real is happening. That connection isn't just in your head, it's showing itself in your body. That's where Stoicism meets instinct. Stoicism doesn't mean being cold or emotionless. It means being aware, measured, and intentional. So next time you catch yourself mirroring someone or being mirrored, don't brush it off. Recognize it as a signal that this moment, this person, might be important. In a time where words are often used carelessly, let actions speak louder, especially the actions you don't even realize you're making. You must learn to observe these patterns, not obsessively, but consciously. When you can see mirroring for what it is, you unlock an emotional radar that most men never develop. And that's a kind of strength. In business, in relationships, in leadership, connection matters. People want to feel seen, understood, aligned, and nothing says, I'm with you, like unconsciously syncing your very movement to theirs. It's the quiet language of respect and interest. But be warned, mirroring can't be faked. If you try to force it, it backfires. This only works when it's real, when you're truly present. That's the hard part in today's distracted world. We're often too caught up in screens, worries, or rehearsed responses. You have to be there, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. So here's the truth. Pay attention to your instincts. Pay attention to your posture when you're with someone who matters. Does your body lean in? Do they mimic your movements without even realizing? That's not a fluke. That's mutual attraction. That's shared respect. And in the storm of daily life, that's rare. Don't let it pass unnoticed. Use it. Reflect on it. Let it sharpen your emotional intelligence, because as a modern Stoic, your strength isn't just in silence or solitude, it's in knowing when to feel and how to read the silent language between people. And when you learn to speak that language, not with your mouth but with your presence, you stop guessing whether there's a connection and start knowing. Sign 3. Inside jokes and private language. Remember this. Women don't confess their feelings directly, they imply them. They don't come out and say it, they build a private language, a world only the two of you share. When she repeats something you said weeks ago, twisted just enough to sound playful, familiar, almost like an inside joke, that is not a coincidence. That's a sign. That's her testing the waters, seeing if you remember too. It's her way of saying, I'm building something with you. Do you notice? Don't brush it off. Don't wait for her to spell it out. She rarely will. A woman won't ask, do you like me? She'll create a secret code, nicknames, phrases only the two of you understand. That's how she connects, and how she protects herself. In today's world, where truth is buried under noise and distractions, you must train yourself to see with the eyes of a modern Stoic, calm, disciplined, but sharp. As Marcus Aurelius said, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. You must shift your perception. Stop chasing the obvious signs, flirting, physical touch, direct compliments. Instead, learn to see what hides in plain sight. Patterns, language, shared memories. One of my clients, Mark, once told me about a woman at work. They had lunch one day, and he jokingly called her the chaos sipper because she kept spilling her drinks. Months later in a meeting, she knocked over her water, looked at him, smirked and whispered, chaos strikes again. Same words, same energy, same connection. That wasn't about water, it was about memory, about attention, about him. You have to catch those moments. When a woman builds a private language with you, she's telling you, you matter. I remember you. And I remember you is one of the most powerful expressions of affection a human being can offer. Language is more than words. It's a bond. It's intimacy. If you fail to recognize these signs, if you stay blind to the quiet codes she creates, she will retreat. She will assume you don't feel the same, and the door will close. Don't let that happen. Stay sharp. Stay present. When a woman remembers the little things about you, it's not small. It's everything. It's her way of saying, you're not like the rest. That is your moment. Take it. Don't hesitate. This is the art of recognizing what no one teaches you. And now, you know. If you've ever had a woman drop a subtle callback, a shared phrase, a smirk that said more than words ever could, comment, I saw the sign. If this message woke something up inside you, like comment and subscribe, don't let this just be another post you scroll past. Act. Own the moment. Control the game. Sign 4. Comfortable silence. There's a kind of language more powerful than any word spoken. Comfortable silence between two people. It's not awkward. It's not the silence of hesitation or emotional distance. It's when you sit next to her and no one says a thing. Yet the air is full of connection. There's no pressure to fill the space, no need to impress. Just two people, fully present, content in each other's company. That, right there, is one of the clearest signs you both like each other. You don't need constant talking, because you already understand each other on a deeper level. It's like two wolves sitting quietly side by side, not needing to howl to prove their bond. The energy is there, unspoken but undeniable. But be careful, because not all silence is good. Silence from hurt, avoidance, or emotional disconnection is something entirely different. You have to know the difference. Comfortable silence happens when there's mutual respect, when neither of you feels the urge to dominate the moment. It's a sign of maturity, and it ties directly into the core of modern Stoicism. A Stoic man doesn't chase noise to avoid his inner void. He finds meaning in stillness, strength in restraint, and presence in peace. He doesn't demand the spotlight, and he doesn't force connection. He simply is. Calm, centered, and quietly powerful. Don't underestimate the power of silence. Learn to use it as a tool. That's when you really listen, not just with your ears, but with your entire intuition. In a world buzzing with notifications, half-hearted conversations, and non-stop distractions, The ability to sit in peace next to someone and not feel alone is rare and incredibly valuable. It means you've moved past surface-level emotions and into something more profound, where presence matters more than performance, where connection doesn't need to be loud to be real. So the next time you and she are together and there's a quiet moment, don't rush to break it. Don't scramble for a topic. Feel it. Let that silence speak for both of you. If it's comfortable, if it feels right, then you're exactly where you're supposed to be. That's your signal. That's your answer. And it's something only a truly grounded, emotionally mature man will recognize and appreciate. Sign 5. Future talk. Future talk. Let's be brutally honest. Most men walk through life blind to the signals around them. You feel something, sense a connection, but doubt creeps in. You hesitate. You question. And in that hesitation, life moves on without you. But here's the truth. When a woman likes you, the signs are there. Clear. Subtle, yes, but undeniable. Her eyes hold a second longer. She mirrors your gestures. She finds reasons to be near you. These are not coincidences. They are instincts at work, ancient, raw, and real. You must learn to see them. As Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts. If you constantly think you're not enough, that's exactly what you'll project and what you'll receive in return. A modern Stoic doesn't beg for attention. He observes, he understands, and when the moment is right, he acts, not recklessly, not passively, with calm, grounded certainty. That's masculine energy, that's power. Stop chasing validation and start mastering your presence. The modern Stoic is not a man without emotion, he's a man who governs it. That's what separates the drifting from the grounded. That's what pulls others in. Attraction isn't about looks or money, it's about strength of character, discipline, direction, quiet confidence. As Epictetus taught, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Stop inventing problems. Focus on what you can control, your mind, your habits, your energy. If you both like each other, you'll know. You'll feel it. But knowing is not enough. You must respond. You must lead. Don't wait for the perfect moment. That moment is now. This is Future Talk, a reminder that clarity, emotional awareness, and stoic masculinity are not outdated. They're essential. In a world of noise, be the calm voice. In a culture of chaos, be the firm hand. If this hits something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Drop your story in the comments. Share your moment of clarity. Inspire another man to wake up. The time for confusion is over. You are the signal. You are the decision. Don't drift. Lead. Sign 6. Awkwardness and nervous energy. Let's cut through the noise and get to something most men overlook. One of the most real signs that someone's into you isn't what Hollywood sells. It's not the smooth moves, the cool lean, or the charming banter. It's awkwardness, that jittery laugh, the pause that hangs a bit too long, the stumble in a sentence, the hands that won't stay still. These aren't signs of weakness, they're signs of investment. When someone genuinely cares about how they come across to you, their body betrays the pressure before their mind can regain control. This isn't about a lack of confidence, it's about the weight of emotion. Think about it. Have you ever tried to stay cool in front of someone you truly admired? Your chest tightens, your brain spins scenarios, you sweat the small stuff. That's not clumsiness, that's emotional friction. Seneca nailed it centuries ago when he said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The mind exaggerates the stakes when something or someone really matters. That's why a woman might giggle nervously, say something out of character, or avoid eye contact while trying to act calm. She's not indifferent. She's overwhelmed. One client of mine, Sarah, used to drop her water bottle or stumble over her words whenever she saw a guy she liked at the gym. She was trying so hard to seem normal, and he mistook her nerves for disinterest. That disconnect, it happens all the time. You might miss a powerful signal because you're looking for certainty instead of subtlety. So here's what you need to do. Stop overthinking and start observing. Pay attention to the shift in someone's presence, the way they suddenly talk more or less, the nervous tapping, the unexpected silence. These are not flaws. They're unspoken signals. And in a world where everyone hides behind screens and curated personas, that kind of vulnerability is rare and real. Don't dismiss it. Don't get in your own head. Just notice it. Because nervous energy, when it shows up, is often a silent confession. And if you're tuned in, you'll hear it loud and clear. This is modern Stoicism, mastering your reaction, seeing truth beneath the surface, and acting with calm clarity instead of self-doubt. Don't chase the obvious. Learn to see the authentic. That's where the real connection lives. Sign 7. They find reasons to be around you. When someone keeps showing up near you, without any real reason, that's not coincidence. That's intention wearing the mask of chance. They're not walking straight toward you, but they can't stay away either. So they orbit. They invent excuses. I was just grabbing coffee near here, or I need your help with something, even when they don't. They sit closer than needed. They linger longer than necessary. They message for minor things. It's not about the task. It's about the proximity. They want to feel close to you without making it obvious. Jason worked in a shared office. A woman from another department kept stopping by. First, it was about the coffee machine. Then it was dropping off snacks. Then she said, I just focus better near your team. No one assigned her to be there. That was emotional gravity pulling her in. People make time for what matters, and they make space, even silently, for who they're drawn to. Don't get arrogant. Don't chase. Just observe. Stay sharp. Because when someone keeps finding ways to be near you, it's not random. It's a signal. If you miss it, you lose your edge. You lose the game. Marcus Aurelius said it best. The soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts. Train your mind to see what others miss. Don't just live, lead. Don't just react, respond with purpose. In today's world, awareness is power, and in power, you find freedom. The man who sees clearly is the man who conquers silently. Remember, people rarely say what they feel, but their behaviour always tells the truth. You must know how to read it. If you've ever seen this happen, comment, I've seen the signs below. Like this, if you refuse to live unaware. Subscribe now if you're ready to master the game of relationships, of influence, of life. Sign 8. Deep, uninterrupted conversations. You ever sit down with someone and suddenly realise an hour's gone by? No buzzing phones, no glancing at the clock, just you, them, and a conversation so alive it carries itself. That's not common. In fact, in a world overdosed on dopamine and drowning in distractions, deep, uninterrupted conversation has become a rare kind of luxury, a form of intimacy most people don't even realise they're starving for. Because while everyone's chasing likes, views, and validation, what we're really craving is presence. Undivided, unapologetic presence. Most people don't listen. They wait to reply. Most chats today feel like half-loaded web pages, glitchy, fragmented, shallow. But when you lock into a conversation where every word hits like a note in a song, and even the silences feel full, not awkward, but warm, you've entered something different. That's not small talk. That's soul talk. And it doesn't happen by accident. There's a kind of quiet electricity to it. No fireworks, no performances, just calm, mutual resonance. You feel safe. You feel seen. It's not just chemistry, it's connection. Derek, a client of mine, once told me, I didn't even know I liked her until we talked for 2 hours about absolutely nothing, and I didn't want it to end. That nothing he's talking about? That is the something. It's where real attraction hides, underneath the surface, beyond the games, past the performance. You're not impressing. You're revealing. And that matters. In fact, that's everything. It's not about sharing the perfect opinion or telling your best stories. It's about being raw, unrehearsed, and totally present. And that's where the wisdom of the Stoics walks in. The Stoics, those warriors of reason, taught that presence is power, that what's real is what's now. And there's nothing more now than a moment where you're fully with someone, not judging, not scripting, just being. When a woman gives you that space, or you give it to her, you're not in a casual exchange. You're stepping into something sacred. And if you're a man between 35 and 70, this is the kind of moment that hits deeper. You've seen enough to know what's fake. You've lived long enough to value what's real. And this kind of presence is as real as it gets. So stop chasing shallow thrills. Start noticing who makes time disappear. Because when you find that, don't run. Don't doubt. Lean in. That's where the truth lives. Sign 9. They remember the little things. They remember the little things. Never underestimate the power of that. Let me ask you directly. Has someone ever brought up a tiny detail you mentioned weeks ago? Something small, almost forgettable, a random preference, a memory you barely registered at the time. Maybe you told them you love pistachio ice cream, or shared that your dad taught you how to fix a leaky sink when you were a teenager. Then, out of nowhere, they bring it up. No prompting, no reason except that they were paying attention. That moment, it lands hard. Why? Because it tells you something essential. You matter to them. When someone remembers the seemingly insignificant details, what they're really showing you is care. Not the loud, flashy kind, the quiet, deliberate kind, the kind that whispers, "I was there with you." This isn't about having a good memory. It's about giving you emotional space in their mind. In psychology, they call it selective attention. But strip away the jargon, and here's the truth. The brain doesn't hold on to what's random. It keeps what's meaningful. And if someone remembers a story you shared late at night, or a small truth you spoke when you thought no one was really listening, that's not coincidence. That's emotional priority. That's rare, and it means something. Let me tell you about a man named Ryan. He's one of my clients, and during a conversation with a woman he admired, he mentioned collecting bottle caps with his grandfather. Just a passing story, one of those nostalgic moments you don't expect to leave a mark. A month later, she handed him a mason jar filled with vintage bottle caps. Think about that. That wasn't just a sweet gesture, it was something far deeper. It wasn't a gift. It was memory, returned with intention. That's someone saying, you weren't just heard, you were felt, and this is a signal you can't fake. When people remember the details, they are showing their presence, their now, their choice to value you, not because they had to, but because something about you resonated. That's the root of connection. That's when you both start to feel something real. This is one of the clearest signs that you both like each other, not with fireworks, but with focus. And in the noise of modern life, that kind of focus is a rare form of respect. Now here's where this ties into something deeper, something stoic. The modern stoic doesn't get caught in the chaos of shallow signals and fleeting dopamine. He observes, he remembers. He values the little things because he knows they are the foundation of everything meaningful. In a world drowning in distraction, presence is power. So if you're a man walking through this noisy world between the ages of 35 and 70, listen carefully. The way you give attention, real attention, matters. Don't get fooled into thinking masculinity is about speaking louder. Number. It's about listening deeper. Stoicism isn't the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. And mastery begins with noticing. A modern Stoic doesn't rush to impress. He pays attention. He builds depth where others skim. He remembers the flavour, the moment, the story. Not because he's trying to win someone over, but because that's how he shows up. With intention, with presence, with strength. So here's my challenge to you. Don't ignore the little things. Don't brush off those quiet moments. That's where real connection hides. Watch for these signs in others, but more importantly, become that sign. Be the man who remembers. Be the one who listens when it's quiet. Be the presence that doesn't fade, because in a world of temporary, this kind of attention is eternal. That's not just something women want. That's what people need. And the man who can give it, he doesn't chase meaning. He becomes it. Sign 10. Subtle touches. Let's talk about something 90% of men miss. Not because they're blind, but because they're too focused on the obvious. I'm not talking about hugs, hand-holding, or grand romantic gestures. I'm talking about subtle touches, the kind that seem accidental, but aren't. The ones that happen too often to be coincidence. The ones that reveal more than words ever could. A woman who's interested, but not ready to come out and say it will let her guard down not with declarations, but with instinct. It might be a light brush on your forearm when she laughs a little too hard at your joke. It might be her reaching to fix your sleeve, straighten your hoodie string, or wipe away imaginary lint from your shoulder. She's not touching your clothes. She's giving herself permission, if only for a second, to feel your presence. It's not about fabric. It's about connection. Stoic men, real men, men who lead their lives with clarity, awareness, and grounded strength, see this. They don't chase signs, but they don't ignore them either. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. You must stay alert, grounded, and responsive to what life presents, even the softest brush of her hand. Take David, a quiet, grounded man who met a woman at a local bookstore. At the end of a warm, curious conversation, she handed him his receipt, but not in his palm. She slid it between his fingers, skin to skin. Just a moment, just a smile. Nothing said, yet everything implied. A week later she did it again, only this time it was his coffee cup. Again, fingers touched. Again, that same subtle pull toward him. These moments are not mistakes, they're signals, unspoken messages, quietly testing the waters. This is how attraction often begins in mature, emotionally intelligent women. It isn't loud, it's precise, controlled, and very real. A modern Stoic man doesn't get giddy over every gesture, but he doesn't dismiss them either. He observes, he processes, he reads the room, the moment, the emotion. When her hand lingers on your arm just a little too long, don't assume, but don't ignore it. When she finds excuses to close physical space, she's showing interest without saying a word. Why? Because rejection stings, even for her. But her body, it moves first. Stoicism teaches us, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Don't ask if she likes you, watch her behaviour. Let your calm presence invite the truth to surface. That's real strength. That's leadership. That's understanding the language behind the words. So here's the challenge. The next time you're with someone and you sense a shift, a pause, a touch that didn't need to happen, don't shrug it off. Don't make it awkward. Don't turn it into something needy. Simply notice it. Remember it. Let it inform your next move. Be the man who leads with poise, not assumption. Be the man who reads silence louder than noise. These subtle touches are how real connection begins, especially when words fall short. Drop a comment below. Have you ever picked up on one of these subtle signs? Did you act on it or let it slip? Your story could be the spark another man needs. Remember, wisdom isn't hoarded. It's passed on. Be aware, be grounded, be ready. That's what it means to be a modern Stoic in today's world. All right, fellas. Thanks for watching. If this message spoke to something real inside you, if you recognize those signs or realize you've missed them before, then take this as a wake-up call. Stop overthinking. Start paying attention. When a connection is real, it doesn't need to be forced, but it does need you to be present. Here's my advice. Be the kind of man who sees clearly, feels deeply, and leads calmly. You don't need to be loud, rich, or perfect. You need to be real, grounded, a modern Stoic. Read the room, respect the signs, and when it's right, don't hesitate. Act. Life rewards clarity and courage, not doubt and delay. If any part of this video hit home for you, drop a comment below. Tell me which sign you've seen before or missed, or share a moment where staying calm and aware made all the difference. Let's grow together. Until next time, stay sharp, stay grounded, and lead with strength. Magnetic phrases that instantly attract women, backed by psychology. Stoicism, modern Stoic. The best thing to hold on to in life is each other. Audrey Hepburn. You've probably heard all sorts of advice about how to attract women, but let's be honest, most of it misses the mark. It's not about being the tallest, richest, or most handsome guy in the room. It's not about fancy cars or cheesy pickup lines that feel more like scripts than real conversation. The truth is, what really makes the difference in how women respond to you is much simpler. And it all comes down to one thing: the words you choose in the first few moments of conversation. Right now, there are countless men having boring, forgettable interactions with women, while others are effortlessly sparking real connection with just a few carefully chosen phrases. These men don't try to impress or force anything. Instead, they know how to make a woman feel drawn to them without even realizing why. What's the secret? It's psychology. Over years of coaching and observing thousands of real-world interactions, I've discovered 3 incredibly powerful phrases that tap into the natural, instinctive responses women have when they feel truly attracted. These phrases can instantly create curiosity, build genuine chemistry, and make you stand out. No tricks, no games. In fact, one of these phrases is so effective that women will often text their friends about you right after hearing it. Another will have her hanging on every word you say. And the third is my personal favourite for creating instant and undeniable chemistry. If you're ready to completely change how women respond to you and take your social skills to a new level, keep reading. I'm about to reveal these 3 phrases that will make you unforgettable in any conversation. Phrase 1. The unfinished thought. In conversations, there's an undeniable power in leaving things unsaid. When you begin to share something but don't complete your thought, it instantly ignites curiosity. It's not some psychological trick. It's how our minds are wired. People are naturally drawn to the unknown. They want to know the rest of the story. You can use this to your advantage. Imagine a situation where she shares a personal detail or a story. The key is to subtly drop a hint and leave it unfinished, like saying, "You remind me of, actually, never mind," or "There's something about you that, no, it's not important." Don't overthink it. Just drop the remark casually, as though it popped into your head unexpectedly. Then, switch topics naturally, as though nothing out of the ordinary happened. In doing so, you'll create an intriguing dynamic that will draw her in. Her mind will wonder what you were about to say. The curiosity will often lead her to ask you about it later, or give you a look that signals she's eager to know more. This approach doesn't force a connection, it invites one. It stirs interest, creating a natural flow in the conversation that keeps both of you engaged. When she does ask, and chances are she will, you're prepared with a genuine and thoughtful observation, something that's more than just a compliment about her looks. You might say, "I was going to mention that you have a really thoughtful way of explaining things," or "You remind me of someone who is comfortable being themselves." These aren't throwaway lines. They're honest, sincere reflections that show you're truly listening and paying attention, which is something that sets you apart from guys who rely on rehearsed pickup lines or forceful approaches. Remember, this isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about creating deeper, more authentic connections through real conversations. The beauty of this strategy is in its simplicity. You're not trying to impress her with clever tricks. You're giving her the space to wonder and engage with you on a more meaningful level. Let go of the notion that every word has to be perfectly timed or thought out. What matters most is your ability to create an atmosphere of curiosity and intrigue. Trust that when you let the conversation flow naturally, without the pressure of constantly needing to perform, You'll stand out from the crowd of men who try too hard. The most magnetic interactions aren't about saying the perfect thing. They're about saying just enough to make her want to learn more. This is how you build real connections. As a man in your 30s to 70s, applying this principle will take you far in personal relationships. It shows maturity, confidence, and the ability to read a situation with subtlety. In a world where everyone is trying to force the next line or impress with external qualities, you'll be the one who stands out as someone who doesn't need to say everything. Because what you don't say keeps the conversation alive and magnetic. Think about it. The next time you're talking to someone, leave them hanging just a little. Watch how their curiosity draws them in, and how the conversation evolves into something deeper. Don't underestimate the power of a well-timed, unfinished thought. It's one of the simplest, yet most powerful tools in building attraction and connection. Take this advice and use it in your everyday interactions. Let me know how it works for you. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Phrase 2. The secret compliment. Most compliments fail because they are shallow, predictable, and easy to ignore. Think about it. How many times has an attractive woman been told, "You're beautiful"? By the time she reaches her mid-20s, those words have become nothing more than a hollow echo, a constant hum she's grown numb to. But what if there was a way to break through this barrier, to make her feel something that hits deeper than her appearance? That's where the secret compliment comes into play. Unlike typical flattery, which often feels insincere, a secret compliment focuses on something much more meaningful: her character, her skills, and the unique qualities that make her who she is. This approach works because it reaches beyond her outer beauty and taps into her inner sense of self, showing that you see her for more than just her looks. Psychology backs this up. Researchers from Princeton have shown that compliments about a person's abilities are far more attractive than comments about their physical appearance. In fact, compliments centered around her character are not only more memorable, but also create a lasting emotional impact. This is why, when you notice something distinctive about her behavior or intellect, it lights up her brain's reward centers, making her feel more deeply connected to you. So how do you deliver a secret compliment that resonates? Timing is everything. The best moment to offer a meaningful compliment is when she has just shared something authentic about herself, perhaps a belief, an opinion, or a moment of vulnerability. In these instances, you've got the chance to craft a compliment that feels not only real, but deserved. Be specific with your words. Don't say, "You're smart." Instead, try something like, "The way you explain that idea shows real depth of understanding." This isn't just a compliment, it's an observation, and it shows that you're paying attention to her in a way that others might miss. The key here is authenticity. Only compliment what you truly notice. A compliment that rings false won't create the same connection, no matter how well it's delivered. So don't be afraid to get specific and call out her unique talents or qualities. For example, most people wouldn't notice, but you have an incredible gift for making people feel heard. Works because it acknowledges something rare and valuable. Or, "I noticed when you insert specific action. It really showed me how thoughtful you are." Another great example: "You've got this rare blend of confidence and warmth, something you don't come across every day." These are compliments that speak to her personality, her actions, and her essence, not just her appearance. However, it's not just what you say that matters, it's how you say it. The delivery of your secret compliment is crucial. First, make sure you give her a moment to let her words and thoughts sink in. A brief pause before you speak shows that your compliment comes from a place of genuine reflection. Maintain soft eye contact, but avoid staring. It should feel natural, not forced. Once you've given the compliment, move on without expecting validation or a response. This shows confidence and emotional control, traits that are inherently attractive. What happens in her mind when you deliver a compliment like this? Initially, there's surprise. She'll think, "Wait, he noticed that about me." Then comes a sense of validation. Finally, someone sees the real me. And as these emotions settle, attraction starts to build. She'll start thinking, I want to be around someone who really gets me, someone who sees me beyond the surface. The beauty of the secret compliment lies in its simplicity and the depth of connection it creates. When you take the time to recognize her unique qualities and give praise that is sincere, specific, and reflective of what truly makes her stand out, you show her a side of yourself that others rarely do. You're not just giving a compliment, you're offering insight into who she is at a deeper level. This is what drives attraction. Remember, it's not about being charming or saying the right words. It's about being present and noticing what others don't. Make this part of your mindset, and you'll find that attraction becomes a natural byproduct of the way you relate to her. Advanced technique. The compliment sandwich. If you want to master the art of captivating a woman's attention, you need more than just good looks or empty flattery. You need authenticity, presence, and the subtle power of psychological insight. One of the most effective tools in your arsenal is the compliment sandwich, a technique that not only demonstrates your emotional intelligence, but also aligns with the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. This method involves weaving a compliment into a conversation in a way that feels genuine and thoughtful, highlighting deeper qualities beyond just surface-level traits. For example, instead of merely commenting on her appearance, focus on her actions, thoughts, or values. When you took the time to include Sarah in the conversation earlier, it really showed your awareness and respect for others. This statement is far more powerful than any compliment about her physicality, as it taps into her character. It's not just about offering praise, it's about noticing the subtle, often overlooked qualities that reveal a person's depth. However, let me warn you, this technique can backfire if you don't master the art of delivery. If the woman responds with a simple "thanks" and doesn't engage further, you've missed the mark. Your compliment was too generic, lacking the depth necessary to capture her true attention. If she seems uncomfortable, it's likely you've come on too strong, too soon, with a compliment that felt forced or invasive. And if she questions your sincerity, it's clear that your words lack the specificity required to show real insight. Complimenting a woman requires not just observation, but a genuine understanding of her as a person. Here, the Stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius comes into play. He famously said, "Look beneath the surface." To compliment a woman effectively is to follow this Stoic principle. It's about noticing the subtleties of her behavior, her thoughtfulness, her values, and acknowledging these qualities with clarity. When you do this, you demonstrate emotional intelligence. You show that you're not just a passive observer of the world around you, but an active participant, attuned to the deeper currents that shape a person's character. This is what makes you stand out. You aren't just any man. You are a man who sees beyond the obvious, who notices what others might overlook. This is not a mere technique. It's a reflection of who you are at your core. When you compliment her with genuine observation, you make her feel seen in a way that's rare. No more "you look great tonight" or "nice dress." These are shallow, quick fixes that dissipate with time. Instead, focus on something authentic. When you shared that story about your trip to Paris, it showed me how much you value adventure and culture. It's inspiring. Here's your challenge. The next time you're in conversation with a woman, find something authentic to compliment about her that has nothing to do with her appearance. Look for the deeper layers, the kindness in her eyes, the passion in her voice, the respect she shows others. Compliment those traits. Watch as her response shifts. She'll engage with you more deeply, feel more connected to you, and respect you on a whole new level. And that's the type of interaction that can lead to something far more powerful than fleeting attraction. It can build a genuine connection, one built on depth, understanding, and emotional intelligence. Remember, your power is in your ability to notice, to be present, and to articulate what others miss. This is the power of the compliment sandwich, and it's rooted in the timeless wisdom of the Stoics. By practicing this technique, you demonstrate not only your own value, but also your capacity for seeing and appreciating others on a deeper level. So, the next time you speak to a woman, don't just throw out empty praise. Speak from a place of insight, from a place of real understanding. You'll be amazed at the results. Phrase 3. The reverse question. Here's a powerful truth most men never learn about attraction. The person asking the questions controls the conversation, but the one who reverses them controls the connection. It's not a game. It's the key to mastering the unspoken art of intriguing dialogue. When you learn to master the reverse question, you unlock the ability to turn ordinary small talk into an electrifying exchange where she finds herself working to impress you. Why does this work like magic? It taps into a psychological trick women are subconsciously used to. Every woman has her interview mode, where she gets bombarded with predictable, boring questions like, what do you do for work? Where are you from? And what are your hobbies? These questions create a pressure-filled situation where she feels like she has to perform. The reverse question flips that dynamic. It positions you as someone who is selective, not desperate for attention, and creates a subtle shift in power. Instead of her qualifying herself to you, you make her work to earn your interest. This builds playful, yet palpable tension that fuels attraction. Here's how to execute it flawlessly. When she asks you a personal question, whether it's, why are you still single? What do you do for fun? Or, what are you looking for? You answer with one of these responses. Why do you think I am? Or, what's your guess? Or, I could ask you the same thing, but I think I already know the psychology behind the magic. These responses force her to stop thinking of you as an interview subject and start thinking about you. It turns the tables by making her guess about you, which makes the conversation far more intriguing. She might end up revealing more about herself in the process, while you stay enigmatic and composed. And the phrase, I think I already know, adds an irresistible layer of mystery that will keep her hooked. Real-life example. A client I worked with shared this exchange. Her, so why is a guy like you still single? Him, what's your theory? Her, maybe you're too picky. Him, interesting. What would make someone too picky in your eyes? This simple reversal takes the conversation out of the interview territory and turns it into a dynamic, flowing exchange. To elevate this technique, use advanced tactics like the eyebrow raise. When you say, I think I already know, pause and briefly glance at her lips. Then, slowly build a smile as she answers. This creates natural, magnetic tension. Another advanced tactic is the bait and switch. After she answers your reversed question, say, close, but the real reason is even more interesting. This builds intrigue and keeps the conversation electric. But beware of common mistakes. Don't use the reverse question for simple, factual questions like, where do you live? It's not about evading genuine conversation. It's about keeping the interaction engaging and intriguing. Another mistake is overusing the technique. If you rely on it too much, you'll come off as evasive. Finally, be prepared with a solid answer when she insists on an explanation, or else you risk losing the intrigue. Remember, attraction is about power, but not in the way most men think. It's not about being dominant or controlling. It's about creating a dynamic where you're the prize and she has to earn your attention. Don't be afraid to make her work for it, and you'll see a magnetic shift in how she perceives you. Use the reverse question wisely, and you'll transform mundane conversations into memorable, electrifying exchanges. This is the art of mastering attraction. And let me remind you, you have to start using this in real life to experience its power. So next time you're in a conversation, remember, flip the script, make her work for your attention, and tell me in the comments how it worked for you. The Stoic wisdom behind this. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters." This timeless principle is more than just a philosophical quote. It's the backbone of mastering attraction. It's not enough to simply react to what's happening in a conversation, especially when you're engaging with someone you're interested in. You must consciously shape every interaction, making sure you don't fall into predictable patterns of behavior. When a woman asks you a personal question, don't just give her the answer she expects. Flip it back at her with a playful twist. Watch how her interest skyrockets. It's in those moments of unpredictability that you truly capture attention. This approach isn't about manipulating anyone or playing games. It's about embodying calm confidence and showing up as your most authentic self. These phrases aren't just words. They're a reflection of a mindset that women find irresistible. It's the confidence that you don't need anyone's approval to feel good about who you are. Remember, attraction doesn't stem from desperation. It grows from self-assuredness, from a place of inner strength and balance. And this is where Stoicism steps in, a philosophy that teaches you to control your responses and not be swayed by external circumstances. When you apply this to your interactions with women, you're not just speaking words, you're letting your composure and confidence speak volumes. But let's be real, knowledge without action is worthless. Just reading about these strategies won't change anything unless you put them into practice. This week, I challenge you to choose one of these techniques, a question flipped back, an unfinished thought, or a subtle compliment, and test it in the real world. Pay attention to how different the response is when you stop seeking validation and start creating intrigue. You'll notice a shift in how women perceive you. They won't see you as a man desperate for attention, but rather as someone who is interesting, confident, and in control of the situation. Real-life examples are what make these techniques powerful. Apply them, and you'll see the kind of reactions that make you understand the true power of attraction. It's not about forcing chemistry, but rather about creating an environment where chemistry can naturally thrive. When you stop chasing and start engaging on a deeper level, you open the door to real connection. Phrase 4. The subtle mystery. To truly attract women, you need to master the art of crafting phrases that spark curiosity and capture attention. One powerful tool in this arsenal is what I call the subtle mystery. This isn't about being elusive or playing games. It's about creating an air of intrigue that naturally pulls people in. Think of it like this. When you say something like, "You seem like someone with a lot more depth than meets the eye," you're not giving away all your cards. You're inviting the woman to explore more about you, to wonder what lies beneath the surface. You see, women are drawn to complexity. They're not interested in the shallow or the predictable. You need to show them that you are someone who can offer more, without spelling it out for them. This is where psychology and Stoicism play a role. By tapping into the art of subtlety, you give her space to think, to reflect, and to feel a sense of curiosity that makes her want to engage with you further. You're not trying to impress her with grandiose claims or empty flattery. You're offering her a glimpse into something deeper, something real. And that's powerful. But don't stop there. The key to this technique lies in how you deliver it. It's not about the words you say, but how you say them. When you speak with confidence and without rushing, you're showing emotional control, something that the modern Stoic man understands well. This controlled confidence is magnetic. Women are instinctively drawn to calmness, to a man who is unshaken and secure in who he is. By saying something like, "You seem like someone with a lot more depth than meets the eye," in a relaxed tone, you create an aura of confidence that invites her to trust you and want to learn more. The key takeaway here is simple. Mystery combined with confidence equals attraction. It's a powerful formula. You must make it a part of your communication style, both with women and in everyday interactions. Relating this to modern life, we live in a world that's fast-paced, where people tend to put everything out on display. It's easy to get lost in a sea of shallow conversations and instant gratification. But you, as a man who practices Stoicism, know that true value lies in patience and self-control. You don't need to rush to reveal all of yourself to someone. Just as in the art of war, it's about strategy. Hold back, give just enough to intrigue, but never so much that the mystery is lost. In today's world, standing out isn't about being louder or more brash. It's about being steady, calm, and offering a small taste of what lies beneath the surface. You must not reveal everything at once. You must keep some things hidden. This makes women feel compelled to dig deeper into who you are, and that is when the real attraction begins. Don't be afraid of silence or pauses in conversation. Use them to your advantage. Allow the space between words to stir her curiosity. Imagine you're sitting across from her, and instead of rushing to fill the silence with meaningless chatter, you simply say, "I'm glad we could talk. You seem like someone who has a lot more depth than most people I meet." Pause. Let that sink in. Now she's thinking, wondering about what more there could be to you. She wants to know more. It's that simple. You've planted the seed of mystery, and with time, it will grow into something much deeper. This is how you attract women, not by revealing everything right away, but by giving them just enough to spark their interest. So don't rush it. Don't give everything away in your first conversation. By practicing the subtle mystery, you invite the type of curiosity that leads to connection and attraction. It's a powerful technique rooted in psychology, Stoicism, and emotional control. It's not about tricks or games. It's about being authentic and letting your natural complexity shine through. Women aren't looking for a one-dimensional man. They're looking for someone who has layers, someone who's intriguing, someone who can keep them guessing in the best way. Let the subtle mystery become part of who you are. As a man who practices modern Stoicism, you understand that sometimes the greatest strength lies in restraint. Don't be afraid to show her that there's more to you than meets the eye. Phrase 5. The imperfect flaw. In the pursuit of attraction, one of the most powerful tools you have is embracing your imperfections. Don't hide behind a mask of perfection. This is a trap. Women are not drawn to flawless beings. They are drawn to real, authentic people. Think about it. You've probably heard the phrase, "Nobody's perfect," but what you may not have realized is that this is not just a cliche. It's a universal truth that connects all of us. You might be thinking, but why would showing weakness attract someone? The truth is, vulnerability has a magnetic effect. When you reveal something imperfect about yourself, such as, "I have a terrible habit of overthinking things, but it keeps life interesting," you're offering a glimpse into your human side, making you more relatable. You're no longer an unreachable ideal, but someone with whom a real connection can form. This simple act of honesty builds trust and invites others to feel comfortable around you because they see you as someone who doesn't need to wear a mask. This is where the art of attraction begins, not with pretending to be something you're not, but by showing exactly who you are, flaws and all. Modern Stoicism teaches us the power of accepting our limitations and embracing the reality of our situation. It's not about acting as though we have everything under control, but rather accepting that we don't. That's the beauty of vulnerability. In today's world, where social media thrives on portraying perfect lives, offering a glimpse into your imperfect self actually sets you apart. It's rare to see someone who isn't putting on an act, and this rarity is what captures attention. Imagine you're in a social setting, and you're the one who isn't afraid to laugh at yourself, to admit that sometimes you overthink things. Instantly, others feel like they know you because you've shared something real. The problem many men face is the fear of showing vulnerability. We've been taught that vulnerability is weakness, but in reality, it's one of the most potent tools you have to attract and connect with people. Think about the men in history who have captivated the hearts and minds of others, not because they were perfect, but because they were deeply human. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoics, was not celebrated for his flawless life, but for his ability to confront his flaws and learn from them. His diaries, filled with reflections on his struggles and imperfections, continue to resonate with readers today. He didn't try to hide his vulnerability. He embraced it. And it worked. Women aren't looking for a man who pretends to have it all together. They're looking for someone who is grounded, who knows his strengths, but also recognizes his weaknesses and is willing to grow. That's the modern Stoic in action, acknowledging imperfection without being defeated by it. When you reveal something personal about yourself, you create a bond. It's a subtle but powerful signal that says, "I trust you enough to show you my true self." This is far more attractive than projecting an image of perfection. Remember, when you're authentic, you're no longer trying to impress anyone. You're just being yourself. And that is what women are looking for. Real connections, not facades. To attract the right woman, you must first be willing to attract her with the truth of who you are. This doesn't mean oversharing or becoming overly self-deprecating. It means acknowledging that you are not perfect, but you are working on being the best version of yourself. That's something that doesn't just attract attention, it commands respect. So here's the advice. Stop trying to hide your flaws. Instead, embrace them, show them, and use them to your advantage. Be the man who's confident enough to say, "I'm not perfect, but I'm real," and let that authenticity be your magnet. The imperfect flaw is not something to fear. It's the doorway to deeper, more meaningful connections. Women will be drawn to you not because you're flawless, but because you're genuine, real, and unapologetically human. It's time to drop the act, show your true self, and watch how it changes everything. Phrase 6. The curious observation. In the world of attraction, the curious observation is a powerful tool. Instead of using shallow compliments, make an insightful comment about something unique she does or how she approaches a situation. For example, "I noticed you were really calm when everyone else seemed stressed. How do you do that?" This makes her feel seen, appreciated, and sparks a deeper conversation. As Aristotle said, "The more you know, the more you realize you don't know." This observation isn't just about making her feel special, but it invites her to reveal more about herself, creating a genuine connection. In modern life, where most conversations are shallow, taking the time to notice and comment on these subtle traits sets you apart. It reflects emotional intelligence and is a key characteristic of a modern Stoic man: calm, aware, and deliberate. This approach not only attracts women, but fosters deeper relationships with anyone you encounter. It also taps into psychological triggers like FOMO. When you acknowledge something unique about her, it encourages her to engage more. The curious observation is your gateway to attraction, sparking curiosity and drawing her in. Don't rush. Simply observe, ask, and watch as the conversation deepens. Be confident and in control, like the Stoic man you are. Women are waiting to be seen, and you have the power to make them feel truly noticed. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Which phrase had the biggest impact on you? Where do you plan to use it first? What's your most significant aha moment from this video? I personally read every comment and will make sure to respond to the most thought-provoking ones. For those ready to dive even deeper, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Next week, we're going to uncover a powerful technique, the two-corner eye trick, that makes women chase you. This is a strategy that has been used by some of history's most charismatic men. But remember, this isn't about memorizing lines or playing games. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts meaningful connections through confidence, self-awareness, and authenticity. I am John from the Blessing of Stoicism. How to attract any woman, even if she isn't interested. Stoicism, modern Stoic. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. So, Eden Arbez. Have you ever found yourself in front of a woman, and deep down, you already knew she wasn't interested? You felt yourself pull back, your voice quieter, your energy shrinking, because you believed the outcome was already sealed. But here's something most men don't understand. Women don't often know what they want until they feel it, not through what they see or hear, but through the way a man makes them feel. And that's where the power lies. We've all been taught that attraction is immediate, that if she doesn't show interest from the start, then it's a lost cause. That rejection means it's game over. But that isn't how the world works. Attraction isn't a sudden burst, it's a subtle, slow shift. And often, that shift begins once you stop trying to impress her. Have you ever walked away thinking, was I not good enough? Not tall enough, rich enough, or her type? You missed the point. The real question is, did you show up as the kind of man she's never met before? Calm, grounded, confident in his own value. That man doesn't seek approval, doesn't chase, and doesn't put on a performance. He enters the room already whole, already complete. He listens more than he speaks. And he isn't trying to be liked. He simply is. And that's the man who causes a shift in the way a woman perceives him, not because he begged for her attention, but because he didn't need it. He was centered and whole, and that energy can't be ignored. In a world where most men crumble at the slightest hint of disinterest, you're about to discover how to stay steady. This is not about tricks or pickup lines. It's not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about becoming the kind of man who shifts the energy of the room with nothing more than his presence. By the end of this video, you will understand how to approach any woman, not by proving yourself to her, but by proving to yourself that you no longer chase after what doesn't serve you. Let's dive in. 1. Flirt boldly, then pull back. Flirting boldly, then pulling back is an art that every man must master if he wants to capture the attention of any woman, regardless of how indifferent or uninterested she may seem. Most men approach flirting as though they are trying to win a prize, desperately trying to prove themselves. They overload her with words, excessive compliments, and unneeded praise, all in an attempt to gain her approval. But here's the truth. Flirting isn't about proving anything. It's not about chasing after her affection. Flirting is about creating tension and then stepping away, leaving that tension unresolved. It's about stirring emotions in her that she can't quite explain. Real flirting is about creating intrigue, not desperation. It dares, it teases, and then it disappears. This is where most men go wrong. They try to lock her down with their words, their compliments, their endless attention. But women, just like all humans, are drawn to what is scarce, what is hard to attain. This is why the most effective flirtation is the one that is bold, yet leaves room for mystery. When you flirt with confidence, let her know you're interested, but never worship her. Don't beg for her attention. Don't bombard her with excessive praise. No man, no matter how charming, has the power to make a woman fall for him through sheer validation. There's nothing more unattractive than desperation. Instead, look her in the eyes with quiet assurance, smile, and say something bold. A confident, direct approach is what separates the men who merely chase from the men who command attention. But here's where the magic happens. After that brief interaction, you pull back. You don't linger. You don't stay glued to her side, hoping for some kind of validation. You let go. You let her come to you. Attention without absence is nothing more than noise. But attention that vanishes, that becomes something she'll remember, something she'll wonder about. It's the type of attention that creates a lasting impression. You see, when you shift your focus away from her, without drama, without over-explaining, you trigger a powerful reaction in her mind, uncertainty. And uncertainty is one of the most powerful psychological tools in human attraction. When you make your attention disappear, she's left wondering, what just happened? Why did he leave? That brief but significant moment of uncertainty is the spark that starts attraction. That's when she begins to feel something for you, something that she can't immediately understand. Why? Because attraction is rooted in mystery, in the unknown. When she's not sure what to make of you, she will be drawn to you even more. You're not the man who is easy to figure out. You're the man who's always a little out of reach, and that is what makes you magnetic. The one who pulls back is the one who owns the moment. It's the man who's not afraid to walk away because he knows his worth. As the Stoics wisely said, he who is brave is free. A man who doesn't chase, who can maintain his calm and poise, is the man who has true power. He is the one who understands that his value doesn't come from someone else's validation. He creates value by simply being himself, by knowing that he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. When you pull back, you set the stage for her to come after you. She will wonder if she missed something, if she should have paid more attention. This is not about playing games or manipulating emotions. This is about having the emotional discipline and the self-assurance to recognize that your attention is valuable. You don't need to give it away freely. You don't need to chase her or beg for her attention. You don't need to convince her to like you. The best way to attract any woman, even the ones who seem completely uninterested, is to remain confident in your own worth and to let her come to you. And when you let go of the need for validation, you start to see the world differently. You begin to see women not as prizes to be won, but as people to be understood. The best way to attract someone is not to chase them, but to make them chase you. The man who walks away with confidence is the one who leaves the lasting impression. It's the man who dares to flirt boldly, then pulls back with authority, knowing that his worth does not depend on anyone else. This is the power of self-sufficiency, the power of not being afraid to walk away when the time is right. Remember the words of the famous Stoic philosopher, Seneca. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. The moment you stop wasting time chasing approval, you start living in your own power. Don't wait for her approval. Make her earn it. Flirt with purpose. Flirt with confidence. Flirt like a man who knows his worth. You have the power. Own it. The man who steps away with grace and confidence is the one who owns the room, who owns the moment, and who commands attraction. Take control of your life. Take control of your interactions, and become the man every woman finds irresistible. Don't chase. Lead. And when you lead, they will follow. Comment to remember. I am the man who commands attention. Let's start living with the confidence to pull back and let them come to you. 2. Stop chasing her. You are the prize. Stop chasing her. You are the prize. This is the harsh reality. Most men enter conversations with women already defeated before a single word is spoken. The thoughts in their minds are clear, even if unspoken. I hope she likes me. I hope I don't mess up. I hope I'm good enough. That mindset, that undercurrent of desperation, is the exact reason she loses interest almost immediately. The truth is simple. When you approach a woman like she's better than you, she will believe it. She'll feel that you're not worthy of her time, and that's when she starts to pull away. It's not that she's being cruel. It's just that neediness repels, and nothing is less attractive than weakness. For most of your life, you've been told the opposite. Society, movies, music, and social media all whisper the same lie. Women are the prize. Your job is to impress them, to convince them, to prove you're worthy. They tell you that winning her over is the key to happiness. But that's not the truth. You are the prize, not out of arrogance, but because you understand your worth. You know what you bring to the table. You know your values, your strengths, and what you stand for. When you walk into any situation with that mindset, you move differently. You speak with certainty, not hesitation. You don't seek permission to lead. You don't shrink yourself in hopes of being liked. Instead, you stand tall, calm, and unwavering in who you are. That energy, true confidence, is magnetic. Even when a woman doesn't verbally acknowledge it, she feels it. Why? Because real confidence doesn't need to perform. It doesn't crave attention or validation. It doesn't have to shout to be heard. It simply is. When you understand this, everything changes. Women notice the man who has no need to prove himself. The man who knows his worth doesn't have to chase approval. The man who walks through life grounded in self-respect and understanding that his value is intrinsic is the man who commands respect. So, how do you make her respect you? Simple. Stop proving yourself. Start holding yourself. The need to act alpha to dominate the room is unnecessary. The key is to stop handing over your worth to her attention. She is not the judge of your value. You are not there to beg for her approval. Instead, both of you are just two individuals trying to figure out whether your lives fit together. If they do, great. If not, move on. You have something to offer, and you're not going to settle for someone who doesn't recognize it. Remember the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is a reminder that your strength comes from within. When you rely on your internal power and value, your actions reflect it naturally, and that is what draws respect. Do not seek her validation. Instead, validate yourself. And when you do that, you'll find that women will start to respect you for the very reason they initially walked away, because you are no longer chasing them. You must start believing in your worth. Stop pretending you're less than you are to fit in or win someone over. When you stop chasing, when you stop playing games, you will find that women are drawn to the authenticity and confidence you exude. Your strength is your value, hold it high, and watch everything else follow. What do you think? Have you ever felt the power of walking into a room with this mindset? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 3. Don't worship her beauty. Observe her behavior. Don't fall into the trap of worshipping her beauty. Instead, observe her behavior. Too many men lose their power the moment they encounter a beautiful woman, not because she takes it from them, but because they hand it over willingly. They see her face, her body, her presence, and they forget what truly matters. They stop evaluating and instead start performing, trying to impress and gain her approval. But let's be clear, beauty is not a rare commodity. What sets people apart, what holds true value, is character. A man who has depth knows that. He understands that beauty fades, but behavior reveals everything. This is the core of attraction. It's not about being swayed by appearances. The man who can see beyond the surface and observe how a woman behaves in various situations is the one who truly holds the power. So instead of being mesmerized by her looks, start watching how she moves through the world. How does she treat people she doesn't need? Is she kind to the waiter or dismissive? How does she handle moments of silence when she's not the center of attention? How does she respond when others are in the spotlight? These details matter because they reveal the true nature of her character. The man who watches before engaging is the man who remains in control. He isn't driven by an impulse to impress. He doesn't rush to be the one she notices. Instead, he makes a choice from a place of awareness and understanding. Women are used to being admired, to receiving instant attention and adoration. They expect praise. They expect men to pursue them. But when you don't follow that script, when you don't fall into their rhythm, they notice. They feel something different, even if they can't quite place it. It's the mystery, the unpredictability. But this isn't a trick. It's not a tactic. It's the natural consequence of a man who values himself enough to take a step back and observe before he acts. Here's a real-life example. Imagine you walk into a lounge and there's a stunning woman at the bar. Every other guy in the room is staring at her, smiling, waiting for their moment to approach her. But you don't rush. You sit, you watch, you notice how she treats the bartender. Is she polite, dismissive, or perhaps entitled? You listen to her conversation. Does she speak only of herself, or does she share something with depth? You're not observing to judge her. You're observing to understand. And from this place of awareness, you make your decision. Understand this. Your ability to resist the urge to perform, your choice to observe before acting, is what makes you stand out. It is that self-control and depth of character that ultimately attracts women. As the great philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Similarly, the best way to attract the woman you desire is not to chase after her or idolize her beauty, but to remain grounded, aware, and in control of yourself. When you stop giving away your power and start observing her behavior, you gain a deeper understanding of who she really is. And that's the foundation of true attraction. Now, I challenge you. Next time you find yourself in the presence of a woman you're interested in, resist the temptation to worship her beauty. Instead, observe her. Watch how she treats others, how she carries herself, and how she interacts with the world. Pay attention to the details. This is where you will find the real connection, the one that lasts. Share your thoughts on this approach in the comments. Let's get a discussion going about how men can stop performing and start truly observing. Comment to remember. I value character over beauty and observe before I act. This mindset will shift your approach to attraction and give you the power you've been seeking. 4. Approach without needing her to like you. Here's a paradox that most men never hear, one that, if understood, could change everything about how you approach relationships with women. The more you desperately need a woman to like you, the more likely she is to be repelled. Not because you're not good enough, but because neediness radiates insecurity. When you're needy, you're telling her without words that you've placed her above you. You've put her on a pedestal, and in doing so, you've already stepped off your own. A man who elevates a woman in such a way has lost his own sense of self-worth. That's the first misstep most men make before they even get close to her. They approach with an agenda, not to connect, but to get something. They seek approval, attention, or validation. But women can feel that energy, even when it's subtle. It's not always something she can pinpoint consciously, but her instincts are sharp enough to detect it. You've been there before. The tension in your chest, that weight of pressure to say the perfect thing, to keep the conversation alive, that constant fear of silence. You're not in the moment. You're in your head, calculating, overthinking every move. Why is that? Because deep down, you've already tied your self-worth to her response. You're playing the game to win her approval. That's the trap. The outcome is what matters to you the most. But here's the reality you need to understand. It's not about what you say. It's about why you're saying it. When you enter an interaction hoping to be liked, you hand over your emotional stability to a complete stranger. Every word you speak, every pause you hesitate on, and every gesture you make becomes a performance aimed at securing her validation. You're not showing up as your true self. You're showing up as a version of yourself that you hope will be accepted. However, the moment you stop needing anything in return, that's when real power emerges. Real power comes from the place where you approach a woman, not because you're empty and seeking to be filled, but because you are already full. You approach her because you are curious, not desperate. You're not looking for approval, attention, or validation from her. Instead, you offer your full presence in the moment. That's the shift. The most attractive men don't chase outcomes. They don't bend, mold, or twist themselves into someone they think a woman will like. They show up exactly as they are, authentically unfiltered, and allow the interaction to unfold naturally. If she connects with them, great. If she doesn't, that's fine too. It doesn't affect their sense of self-worth because their confidence isn't tied to the outcome of a single interaction. Their self-respect remains intact no matter what. And this is the key. This is where most men miss the mark. Attraction doesn't happen because you manipulate her feelings or try to control how she sees you. Attraction happens when you've cultivated a sense of self-worth so strong that you don't need to seek it from anyone else. The truly confident men walk through life knowing that they are enough. They don't try to impress. They are simply themselves. They are magnetic, not because they're chasing her, but because they are grounded in their own worth. They do not need to mold themselves into something they think she will like, because they know that true attraction is about showing up as who you truly are. This shift changes everything. When you stop seeking approval and validation, women will naturally be drawn to you because you're no longer broadcasting desperation or insecurity. The most magnetic men are those who are the least concerned with being liked because their value is inherent and not contingent on external validation. They show up, and the world around them shifts because they've learned one of life's most powerful truths. The less you care about needing her approval, the more she will naturally be drawn to you. It's the paradox of power and attraction. The more you stop chasing, the more you start attracting. And the more you embrace your true self, the more you will naturally command respect and attention. This isn't just a technique, it's a way of being. Don't chase her, be yourself, and in doing so, you will attract the very things you desire. Your self-worth should never swing with the wind of another's opinion. Hold your ground, stand tall. When you do this, you'll find that attraction doesn't come from trying to win her over. It comes from simply showing up as a man who already knows his value. And that's when you'll truly begin to attract the woman you desire, regardless of whether she's initially interested or not. 5. Challenge her. Don't compliment her. Most men make the mistake of thinking that compliments are the way to win a woman's attention. They tell her she's beautiful, amazing, or stunning, often repeating the same empty words every other man has already used. They believe that flattery earns them favour, that praise equals progress. But here's the brutal truth. It doesn't. Compliments don't make you stand out. They make you blend in with every other man she meets. In fact, too many compliments do the opposite of what you intend. They create a sense of uncertainty, a feeling that you're trying to buy her attention, which instantly makes you appear needy. Women are attuned to this energy. They can sense when a man is giving in hopes of getting something in return. And this is exactly what kills attraction. The moment your every word becomes a validation, you're not leading, you're following. You're not connecting, you're hoping. And hoping isn't masculine. Hope is the softest, most invisible form of desire. It's uncertain and weak. The key here is to challenge her. Don't validate her every move or try to win her over with kind words that mean nothing. Instead, show her a man who is strong, who has his own life, and who doesn't seek approval. This is the essence of modern Stoicism, where you live for your own values and not for others' validation. The Stoic man doesn't base his worth on external admiration. His worth is rooted within. When you show confidence in who you are, when you stand firm in your purpose without needing constant reassurance, you become more attractive. You exude a silent strength that commands respect. This is the energy that pulls women in. The energy of a man who is so self-assured that he doesn't need to seek validation. He challenges her not by demanding her attention, but by living his life with such clarity and confidence that she is drawn to him without him lifting a finger. But remember, this is not about being arrogant or dismissive. It's about maintaining your integrity and self-respect. When you challenge her, you're not looking to impress or manipulate. You're simply showing her that your life is rich and meaningful, with or without her. You are a man of principle, a man who is grounded in his own identity. This approach will make her wonder, what does he have that others don't? And that curiosity will work in your favour. In today's world, where men often become fixated on instant validation from women, it's essential to remember that true attraction comes from not needing validation at all. Women are drawn to men who embody stoic strength, those who aren't swayed by praise or desperate for approval. If you want to truly connect with a woman, you must first connect with yourself. Know who you are, what you stand for, and never compromise your values. Stand tall, challenge her subtly, and let her see that you are not someone who is easily swayed. In a world full of men who will flatter her and hope she notices, be the man who makes her wonder if she's missing something by not noticing you sooner. It's the Stoic way of attracting a woman, not through cheap compliments, but through unwavering strength, integrity, and a quiet confidence that speaks volumes. Comment to remember: I am a man of unwavering strength and integrity. Let's discuss how embodying Stoic confidence can elevate your attraction game and help you build lasting, meaningful connections. 6. Make her earn your interest. To truly understand how to attract any woman, you must first master the art of withholding your interest. Make her earn it. This is not just a mere strategy, it's a powerful mindset shift that will change the game entirely. Most men fall into the trap of revealing their hand too soon. They give away their time, attention, and compliments without a second thought. They express their desires too early, without any standards or boundaries. The result? The mystery evaporates. The value disappears. You've already shown her you're invested in her before she's done anything to earn it. And here's the cold, hard truth. What comes too easily, what doesn't require effort, rarely garners respect. Women do not fall for the easy catch. They fall for what they must pursue, what they must climb to attain. This is the essence of attraction. When you give too much too soon, when you offer yourself without her having to put in any effort, you rob her of the opportunity to rise and earn your attention. And once you do that, once you erase the challenge, you reduce yourself to just another man in the crowd. Remember what Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, said: "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." To attract the woman you want, you must be unlike the men she encounters every day. Stand out, hold your ground, and make her earn your attention. When she sees that you have standards and are not easily won over, she will begin to see you as something rare, something worth pursuing. This is not a game. It's a principle rooted in human psychology. You're not just attracting her interest, you're making her respect you by showing that you value yourself highly. And here's where the Stoic approach comes into play. Control your desires and impulses. Practice restraint. Modern Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our actions, our emotions, our decisions, and let go of what we cannot. In this case, it means mastering the art of restraint and never being the man who offers everything up front. The act of withholding is not about playing games. It's about maintaining your power and your worth. A man who holds his value high becomes like a mountain. A woman has to rise up to meet him. This isn't just about attracting women, it's about cultivating respect. What you do not want done to yourself, do not do to others. Confucius once said, if you give too much, too quickly, you teach others that your attention and time are cheap. A woman will respect you more when she has to work for it. You're not just a man, you're a man of value, someone who stands firm in his standards. When you act with this Stoic mindset, you're telling her without words that you are someone who does not settle. You are someone who chooses only those who rise to meet your standards. This is how you will stand out, how you will attract any woman, even those who may not have initially shown interest. But remember, you must be unwavering in your commitment to this principle. Hold your attention back until she has earned it, and watch how differently she starts to look at you. The attraction will not come from what you give easily, but from what you make her earn. In the end, it's not just about winning her over. It's about maintaining your value, your power, and your place as someone who is not to be taken lightly. You control the narrative. You set the terms. You make her earn your interest, and when you do, you become a man that every woman wants, and one that no one can take for granted. This is the path to becoming the man you were always meant to be. 7. Leave before she gets comfortable. The most common mistake men make when trying to attract a woman is staying too long. Don't do it. Don't overstay your welcome or give too much of yourself too quickly. By doing so, you only weaken the intrigue and the attraction that originally drew her to you. You must understand that attraction is not created by constant presence. It's made in the absence, in the pauses, in the mystery that you leave behind. The more you give, the less she wants, and the more you lose the very thing that first sparked interest. It's about knowing when to leave. Leave before she gets comfortable. Attraction thrives in the gaps, the silences, the space you create between moments. It's like the law of contrast. Light is appreciated more in the dark. You see, the desire for something grows when it's scarce, when it's not always available at the snap of a finger. Many men make the fatal error of becoming overly available. They respond to texts and calls instantly. They drop everything at a moment's notice, thinking that their presence will prove their worth. They show up every time she reaches out, without letting her wonder if they might be busy or involved in something else. But here's the harsh truth. When she never has to chase you, she won't value your time. It becomes expected, even taken for granted. It loses its shine. She'll start to think you have no other options, no purpose, no life of your own. And that is not attractive. You must have your own world, your own boundaries. Let her see that you have things to do, that you are not always on standby, waiting for her. This creates intrigue. This creates mystery. Take a lesson from the ancient philosophers, like the Stoics, who understood the power of restraint. The Stoics believed in not overindulging, not chasing after fleeting pleasures, but in being deliberate, in being controlled. The great Marcus Aurelius himself once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This means stop overthinking the situation, stop trying to prove yourself, be deliberate in your actions, your words, your time. Women appreciate a man who doesn't just give his time away freely, they value the man who makes them earn it, who knows his worth and doesn't chase after validation. This isn't a game. This is about playing the long game. The key is to stay true to yourself, to not bend at every whim of desire or urgency. Think about it. Attraction is a force that grows in absence, in patience, in the spaces where she wonders, where she feels a little curiosity. You must not be afraid of leaving her wanting more. She doesn't want a man who is always there. She wants a man who makes her think, makes her wonder. Leave her with a taste, not a full meal. The less you offer, the more she'll want. The trick is to know when to step back and when to lean in. Balance is key. You have to realize that attraction isn't something you can force or manufacture. It's something that happens naturally when you leave room for it to breathe. It's a dance of presence and absence, of push and pull. Don't make the mistake of becoming too available. Don't make her feel as if she can have all of you whenever she wants. You are not a vending machine. You are a man of value, of purpose. Respect your time and, in turn, she will begin to respect and desire it. Leave her wanting more, and ultimately she'll be drawn to the mystery that surrounds you. It's in that mystery that true attraction thrives. Remember the words of Stoic philosopher Seneca. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Don't waste your time trying to prove yourself. Don't waste your time being too available. Use your time wisely. Use it to build your own life, your own world, and let the attraction grow naturally. Now, I challenge you. How can you create more space and mystery in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss how we can all become more intentional with our time and energy in the pursuit of attraction and self-mastery. If she never misses you, she'll never crave you. Don't stay out of fear. Understand the power of your absence. Giving more doesn't strengthen the bond, it trains her to take you for granted. When you're always around, she stops chasing and the spark fades. Know when to step back. End the conversation while it's still alive. Leave while she wants more, and let a text go unanswered long enough to remind her you have your own life. This isn't playing games. It's creating polarity. By stepping away, you remain a mystery, and desire grows. Men who overstay become predictable and forgettable. A man who leaves at the right moment stays on her mind, keeps her guessing, and stays rare. Value your time, and others will too. When she realizes your attention isn't guaranteed, she'll start to chase. The Stoic man knows walking away strengthens his presence. Don't apologize for your space. Walk away when you're no longer being felt. That's how you stay unforgettable. If you've been over-complimenting, texting too much, and seeking approval, stop. Chasing approval only leads to invisibility. You're not meant to be everyone's type. Rejection is a filter, removing those who don't align with your worth. Live by your principles, not by permission. Stop seeking validation. The man who walks away from what doesn't honor him becomes more powerful. Let her feel your absence. If your presence isn't appreciated, let her miss it. Let your silence speak for you. You are the standard. Now, it's your move. When an avoidant acts like this, it means they love you. Stoicism, modern stoic. Loving an avoidant can often feel frustrating and confusing, especially when their way of showing love doesn't match what we expect. If you're wondering why they don't express their feelings with grand gestures or emotional declarations, you're not alone. But here's the thing. Just because their love doesn't look like what you see in movies doesn't mean it's any less real. Avoidants express their care in subtle, often indirect ways, actions rather than words. Today, we're going to explore what those actions mean, why they do it, and how, in their own way, these behaviours can be the truest expressions of love. So, let's dive in and explore how an avoidance behaviour might actually be their way of saying, "I love you." Let's begin. 1. The complexity of loving an avoidant. Loving an avoidant can be one of the most complex, bewildering, and often painful experiences. It's a kind of love that doesn't come with all the fireworks, sweeping gestures, or obvious affection you might see in movies or hear about from others. It's subtle, quiet, and at times can feel as if it's missing altogether. However, don't let the silence and distance fool you just because an avoidant partner doesn't express their love. The way you expect doesn't mean they don't love you. It simply means they are showing it in a way that is foreign to you, a way that requires you to look deeper, to understand not just their actions, but the complexities of their inner world. This form of love, which is often misunderstood, is built on self-protection and fear of vulnerability. When an avoidant person acts distant, it may not be rejection. It's more likely a defense mechanism. They don't want to feel trapped or overwhelmed by emotional closeness, but that doesn't mean they're not attached to you. Instead, it means their way of loving is quieter, more reserved, and wrapped in layers of caution. As the Stoics often taught, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Similarly, avoidants don't need grand gestures to feel love. They need consistency, patience, and space to process their emotions without the pressure of needing to display them all the time. They may pull away when they're feeling overwhelmed or when they sense that they're losing control over their emotions, and during these times, it can feel like they don't care. But in reality, this is when they care the most. They just don't know how to show it. Their avoidance isn't a sign of rejection, it's a sign of self-preservation. Their internal world is one of constant balancing between the desire for connection and the need for emotional autonomy. Understand this. Their love is just as real, but it's different. What do you think you become? Said Buddha, and this is true for the avoidant as well. Their behavior stems from deeply ingrained beliefs about love, relationships, and vulnerability, often formed by past experiences where they may have been hurt, abandoned, or let down. They have learned to protect themselves from getting too close to others, even when they care deeply. So when they retreat or seem emotionally distant, it's not a rejection of you, it's a reflection of their fear. As a partner, this is where your role becomes crucial. Patience, understanding, and emotional maturity are required to navigate this dynamic. Don't mistake their distance for indifference. Don't think that because they're not outwardly affectionate, they're not invested. Their love might be quieter, but it's no less intense. Acknowledge the effort they do make, even if it's not in the way you want or expect. Realize that by giving them the space they need, you allow them to love you in their own way, in a manner that honors their boundaries and respects their need for emotional distance. Just as the Stoics advise, the greatest wealth is to live content with little. Their love doesn't need to be loud or dramatic. It can be found in the small, seemingly insignificant moments that others might overlook. It's in the way they'll be there when you need them most, in their reliability, in the small gestures that speak louder than words. Recognize that this form of love is not any less than the grandiose versions you may have imagined. So, if you're in a relationship with an avoidant, don't give up when the going gets tough. Don't mistake their silence for a lack of love, and certainly don't think that their way of loving is wrong. It's simply a different form of love, a form that's grounded in the need for space, the need for emotional independence, and the desire to protect themselves from the vulnerability that comes with deep emotional intimacy. Remember, their love is still love, and just because it's not loud doesn't mean it's not real. If you're navigating a relationship with an avoidant, I want to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences in the comments. Let's talk about it together. Stick with me, because this is just the beginning. We're moving forward with even more powerful tactics to leave a lasting impact on their mind. Get ready for the next move, one that deepens their connection to you in ways they can't ignore. If you are ready, comment. Let's go. Let's move forward. 2. How avoidants show love through actions. When it comes to avoidant individuals, love rarely takes the form of grand verbal declarations or heartfelt conversations. For them, vulnerability is not just uncomfortable, it is something to be deeply feared. The very idea of opening up emotionally, of saying, "I love you," "I miss you," or I need you feels like an invitation for harm, rejection, or even control. Words of affection, which for many people are the foundation of connection, feel like a dangerous exposure of their inner selves. This fear is rooted in a complex history of emotional defense mechanisms, built over years of avoiding situations where vulnerability could lead to emotional pain. For avoidants, expressing their feelings with words is not merely difficult, it can feel like a risk they cannot afford to take. They fear that once they open up, they expose themselves to the possibility of being hurt. This fear isn't always rational, but it's deeply ingrained, and it governs how they interact with others. However, just because an avoidant individual struggles with verbal expression doesn't mean they lack love or affection. They may not speak their feelings, but they still feel them, and often express them through actions. Avoidants communicate their care in indirect, practical ways, and while these actions may seem small or inconspicuous to an outsider, they are deeply meaningful for the avoidant person. You may never hear them say, "I miss you," but you might notice them repairing something in the house that's been bothering you for weeks, fixing it without a word. This act is not just about fixing a leaky faucet or mending a broken chair. It is a manifestation of their care, a quiet way of saying, "I see you, and I want to make your life easier." You might also see them checking your tire pressure before you head out on a long drive, or bringing you a coffee, exactly how you like it, without you having to ask. These are not just random acts of kindness. These are purposeful, deliberate gestures, small, silent expressions of love that are safer for them to give than the vulnerability of an emotional declaration. The reason these acts feel so natural for an avoidant is that they allow them to contribute to someone else's well-being without exposing their own emotional state. Unlike words, which put them in a position of emotional vulnerability, acts of service allow them to show care in a way that feels more manageable. They can express love through their actions without the risk of emotional exposure that comes with verbal communication. For them, actions are a form of protection, a way to shield their inner selves while still offering something meaningful to those they care about. These actions are not driven by obligation or habit, but by a deep, intentional desire to communicate their feelings without having to confront their own vulnerabilities. What this means for you, the observer, is that love from an avoidant person may be quieter, more subtle, but just as powerful, if not more so, than verbal declarations. It's important to recognize that their love language is different, but no less valid. They might not say it out loud, but when they take the time to do something for you, whether it's fixing something that's been bothering you for a while or thinking ahead to bring you your favorite coffee, that is their way of showing that they care. Their love is found in the practical, everyday actions that they perform with intention and care. These small, unnoticed acts may not seem like much on the surface, but to an avoidant, they carry a significant amount of emotional weight. The key takeaway here is to pay attention to the actions, not just the words. If you're in a relationship with an avoidant person, don't wait for them to express their feelings through the words that might come easily to others. Instead, look for the ways they show up for you through their actions. They may never say, "I love you," in the way you want to hear it, but when they go out of their way to make sure you're comfortable, to fix something you didn't even ask them to fix, or to bring you something that will make your day easier, those are their words of affection. They may be quieter, but they are no less meaningful. In fact, these actions are often more genuine and heartfelt because they come from a place of authenticity, not obligation. So, recognize the value in what they do, not just what they say, and understand that for an avoidant person, actions really do speak louder than words. 3. Emotional discrepancy between partners. In the game of love, many men, particularly those between the ages of 35 and 70, often find themselves caught in the confusing web of emotional discrepancy. The issue arises when two partners operate from completely different emotional frameworks. If you're wired for anxious attachment, you're likely driven by a deep need for verbal reassurances and emotional connection through conversation. You need to hear it. "I love you. I care about you," and you want to talk things out to feel secure. This is what you crave. But when your partner, Someone who might lean toward being emotionally avoidant or stoic doesn't give you those words. You make the critical mistake of assuming they don't care, that they're indifferent or detached, and that's where the misinterpretation happens. It's easy to think that silence equals neglect. However, in the quiet, there's a different language being spoken, one of action, not words. Actions often speak louder than words, and it's crucial to understand that for avoidant types, silence and space may be their way of showing love. It's not a withdrawal, it's their method of processing, protecting, and ultimately loving. They may not be shouting their feelings through grand gestures or frequent affirmations, but that doesn't mean they don't care deeply. Stoicism, at its core, teaches us to act with purpose, without the need for constant validation or overt expressions. Like Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The avoidant partner may retreat or stay quiet, not because they don't care, but because they need to control their emotions, to work through their feelings in solitude, and their care might manifest in their dedication, loyalty, and the little things they do for you that aren't always visible on the surface. This dynamic creates what can feel like emotional dissonance. The one partner feels desperate for words, while the other feels overwhelmed by the very need for those words. One person is shouting love through their behavior, while the other is listening for the words they can't seem to get. It's a stark contrast that can lead to confusion, misunderstandings, and resentment. You must understand, this disconnect isn't a sign of apathy or indifference. It's simply a difference in how two people communicate love. You must adjust your perception. The truth is, many avoidant partners care more than they show, and their emotional world is often complex and layered. They may express care through actions, doing things for you, supporting you in ways that aren't always vocalized. This is where you must rise above the noise of your anxieties. Don't fall into the trap of believing that because your partner doesn't vocalize their feelings in the way you expect, it means they don't feel them. What we achieve inwardly will change outer reality, said Plutarch. The key is recognizing and appreciating how your partner expresses love, and to let go of the need for constant verbal reassurance. If you want to build a lasting relationship, you must understand the depth of your partner's actions, their stoic love, and respect their emotional process. There's no space for insecurity here. You must step into your power, trust the process, and recognize that silence may be your partner's way of showing strength and commitment, not indifference. Your ability to acknowledge this dynamic will empower you to foster deeper intimacy. And this is where your transformation begins. When you stop demanding words and start valuing actions, the emotional dissonance fades, replaced by an understanding and a more profound connection. You must act decisively, understand the language of love your partner speaks, and accept it. No more doubts, no more confusion. Silence does not equal neglect. Your partner's silence may be the most powerful expression of love they have. Don't misread it. Take control of your emotional world, trust in the relationship, and be the leader of your emotions, not the prisoner. The choice is yours. Don't wait for the words. See the actions. And if you agree with this, drop a comment right now. I am the man who holds the power. Like this video, subscribe for more unshakable wisdom, and remind yourself daily, silence isn't distance, it's discipline. 4. Reinterpretation of their behavior for greater understanding. When you learn to shift your perspective on the behavior of an avoidant partner, everything changes. No longer will you assume the worst or feel disappointed by their seemingly distant actions. Instead, you begin to notice the subtle ways they are trying to meet you halfway, even if it's not in the form you expected. You see, avoidants view love through a different lens. They value stability over chaos, believing that love should be grounded and steady. In their eyes, emotional intensity equates to instability, and that fear of emotional upheaval often leads them to pull back. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they express their feelings in a quieter, more practical way. They may not sit you down for a long heart-to-heart conversation, pouring out their deepest emotions, but you can rest assured that they'll make sure you get home safely every night, always keeping an eye on your well-being. They may not say, "I'm proud of you," but they'll quietly celebrate your victories, standing by your side, sharing in your success in ways that feel more manageable to them. This is their love language, and while it might look different from what you're accustomed to, it's still love. However, this doesn't mean you should settle for emotional neglect. You have every right to advocate for your needs, but it's crucial to understand the way they are expressing love. It's a form of love that may appear understated, but it's rooted in practical care, commitment, and consistency. Don't mistake their silence for indifference. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If you see their actions through the lens of care and stability, you'll better appreciate their attempts to love you, even if it's not through grand emotional gestures. You must remember that love isn't always loud or flamboyant. Sometimes it's the quiet acts of loyalty that speak the loudest. And when you acknowledge this, you'll find a deeper connection, one built not on constant emotional highs, but on a foundation of trust, respect, and understanding. What's most important is that you recognize these efforts, not as shortcomings, but as a different form of commitment. Your job is to see them clearly, as they are, and to not ask them to become something they are not. So, I challenge you, take a moment to look beyond the surface and truly appreciate the love they are showing you, even if it's in ways that aren't immediately obvious. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How do you experience love, and how do you navigate these differences in your relationships? 5. The role of space in avoidant attachment. When it comes to understanding avoidant attachment, one of the most misunderstood behaviors is their tendency to create space, especially when things seem to be going well. For those of us who don't have this attachment style, especially those who tend to lean toward anxious attachment, it feels like abandonment. You ask yourself, why would they pull away now when things are finally getting good? It can seem completely counterintuitive, but here's the reality. Avoidants don't pull away because they don't care. They pull away because they do. The truth is, the need for space isn't a reflection of a lack of love, but rather a survival instinct tied to their attachment history. The deeper the emotional connection, the more intense their inner conflict becomes. For avoidance, emotional closeness isn't always felt as comforting. More often than not, it feels overwhelming and even threatening. When the bond starts to deepen, their nervous system doesn't interpret that closeness as safety. It interprets it as vulnerability. This instinctive reaction traces back to early experiences in life, where closeness often meant losing their sense of autonomy or facing judgment, criticism, or neglect from caregivers. It's not a conscious choice, but an emotional defense mechanism formed over years. As adults, when an avoidant starts to feel close to someone they care about, it unconsciously stirs up those early fears. It's an emotional paradox that often leaves them feeling conflicted. On one hand, they long for connection, but on the other hand, they fear the loss of independence that closeness might bring. Real love for them can start to feel like pressure. The more emotionally significant the relationship becomes, the more they feel the need to retreat, to regulate the overwhelming sensation of being emotionally exposed. And how do they do this? By pulling back. It might look like they're becoming quieter or less responsive. They might stop texting as often, or even seem emotionally distant. But here's the key point you need to understand. This does not mean that their feelings for you are fading. In fact, it's often the opposite. It's a sign that their emotions are growing, becoming more intense, and they simply don't know how to manage them in a way that feels safe. In moments like this, it's crucial to not misinterpret their need for space as a rejection. Instead, understand that it's a reflection of their internal struggle. It's their way of coping with an overwhelming flood of emotions they're not equipped to handle at that moment. This isn't a sign that they don't love you. It's an indication that they're grappling with something deep within themselves, something they haven't yet learned to manage in a healthy way. So, If you find yourself in a relationship with someone who has an avoidant attachment style, don't panic when they pull back. Instead, give them the space they need while maintaining your own emotional equilibrium. It's not about abandoning them or giving up. It's about respecting their process and giving them the time they need to find their own balance. This is where Stoicism, modern Stoicism, can be a powerful tool. It teaches you not to react impulsively to external circumstances, but to maintain your own emotional steadiness, no matter what the situation may be. As a partner to someone with an avoidant attachment style, your strength lies not in trying to fix or change their behavior, but in remaining composed, understanding that their withdrawal is a momentary reaction, not a permanent state. It's about knowing when to step back, but also knowing when to stand firm, offering your presence without suffocating them. By doing this, you foster an environment of respect, trust, and emotional safety, which is what every avoidant ultimately craves, even if they don't always know how to ask for it. 6. The subtle shifts of emotional growth in avoidance. When an avoidant acts distant or withdraws, it's not an act of rejection or disinterest, but rather a form of emotional regulation that they've learned to rely on. Think about it. Just as you might take a walk to clear your mind after a stressful day, the avoidant steps back into solitude to soothe their inner turmoil. The truth is, they struggle to process their emotions in real time, especially when they're sharing that space with another person. When things get too close, too intimate, their immediate instinct is not to reject you, but to retreat into a space where they feel they can regain control over their emotions. Their withdrawal is a protective mechanism, a way for them to regain their balance in the midst of overwhelming emotions. Now, here's where the situation often gets tangled. The partner of the avoidant typically interprets their need for space as a sign of punishment, disinterest, or worse, the beginning of the end of the relationship. This misunderstanding is precisely where the trouble begins. As the avoidance partner, you may find yourself feeling neglected, hurt, and anxious. And what do we usually do when we feel these emotions? We chase, we question, we try to close the distance, believing that if we just push harder or make them see our hurt, they'll come back to us, open up, and bridge the gap. But this in turn triggers the avoidant even further, reinforcing the emotional wall between you both. The more you chase, the more they run. The more you question, the more they shut down. And this cycle becomes a vicious one that can seem impossible to break. But here's where the real turning point lies, the key to understanding and breaking the cycle. Recognize that the space they take is not a sign of rejection, it's a form of regulation. It's not that they don't care, it's that they're overwhelmed by their own emotions and need time to process them. The emotional withdrawal is their way of finding peace amidst inner chaos. When you understand this dynamic, you can shift your perspective. Their need for space doesn't mean they want out of the relationship. In fact, it's often the opposite. They may need space precisely because they care deeply, but don't know how to handle the emotional intensity that intimacy brings. What makes the situation even more complicated is that when the avoidant feels guilted or punished for needing space, they begin to associate emotional closeness with feelings of danger or discomfort. However, when you can offer them that space without judgment, without trying to guilt-trip them or make them feel bad, you create a sense of safety for them. And when they feel emotionally safe, that's when they begin to come back. You must understand that their emotional growth requires this delicate balance of space and connection. It's not about forcing them into intimacy or dragging them into conversations they're not ready for. It's about allowing them to find their own emotional equilibrium, and in doing so, creating the environment where intimacy can flourish naturally, on their own terms. The reality is that the best way to get closer to an avoidant is not to chase them or push for closeness. It's to respect the distance they sometimes need. When you honor their need for space, you show them that you are not a threat to their emotional well-being, that you understand and respect their boundaries. And ironically, when they feel that safety, they begin to trust more, to open up more, and to let down the walls that they've built around their emotions. Intimacy grows not by force, but by mutual respect and understanding of their emotional needs. This is where the subtle shifts of emotional growth occur. The more you can offer them this emotional space without demanding anything in return, the more you create the emotional foundation for real connection. But you must be patient. You must be consistent. You must trust the process. Their timeline for intimacy may not match yours, but that's okay. It doesn't mean they don't love you. It simply means they're processing at their own pace. And this is where you must trust that love is still present, even when it feels distant. Remember, the key here is not to chase. The more you try to force them into your frame of intimacy, the more you'll push them away. Instead, focus on creating a safe space for them to be themselves, free from judgment, free from pressure. And in time, they will come back to you, not because you demanded it, but because they feel safe and valued. As the philosopher Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Similarly, emotional wealth doesn't come from chasing closeness, but from respecting the space and emotional needs of your partner. Trust the process, stay patient, and watch as the intimacy between you both strengthens in ways you never imagined. In modern relationships, this dynamic is incredibly relevant. Many people, men in particular, find themselves in relationships where they feel overwhelmed by emotional closeness and the intensity of feelings. It's not uncommon for someone to need a break, to find emotional clarity. For men, particularly those between the ages of 35 and 70, life may already be filled with the weight of responsibility, career pressures, and societal expectations. The emotional complexities of love and intimacy may seem like just another overwhelming task. But by learning to respect your partner's need for space, you can build a stronger, more resilient relationship. You need to stand firm. Don't panic when they withdraw. Don't assume the worst. Don't chase. Instead, step back, give them room to breathe, and trust that their love is still there, waiting to unfold at its own pace. As you do this, you will realize that the love between you can grow deeper, stronger, and more fulfilling than ever before. This, my friend, is the true power of emotional maturity. This is how you transform a relationship into something extraordinary. And this is how you win in love. 7. Avoidance love language. Consistency over words. When it comes to the love language of avoidantly attached individuals, one of the most crucial things you must understand is that they won't express love in the same way you might expect. Forget the idea of grand romantic gestures, passionate confessions, or emotional fireworks. For many men, these overt displays may seem distant or even unnecessary. If you're trying to determine whether an avoidant truly cares about you, stop looking for dramatic moments or poetic, over-the-top declarations. The truth is, avoidants tend to express love in ways that are far subtler but more enduring. Rather than searching for passion, look for consistency. Avoidants are not known for their emotional availability, but one thing they do consistently is maintain routines, habits, and patterns. This is especially true when they care about someone. Their feelings may not be expressed through an outpouring of words or intense emotional exchanges, but they do show their affection through their actions, particularly through reliable and consistent behaviours. These small daily acts are their way of demonstrating care, even if it doesn't always come across as traditional forms of romance. For instance, it could be something as simple as a good morning text, sent without fail each day. Or perhaps they make it a point to check in on you when you're feeling unwell, not because they are obligated to, but because they genuinely care and want to make sure you're okay. You might notice they remember something you said weeks ago, and they'll bring it up in conversation, showing they've been listening and they value the details of your life. These small, repeated actions may not seem like much at first glance, but they hold a deeper significance for an avoidant. To them, consistency is not just about routine, it's about being present, and it is the most vulnerable thing they can offer. Consistency is a form of emotional investment that avoids the overwhelming discomfort of emotional exposure. For an avoidant, opening up emotionally feels risky, and the idea of laying their heart bare in an intense conversation can feel too much to handle. Instead, they offer their love in quieter, more steady ways. These actions may not be the type of love language that immediately stands out, but they are the foundation of a connection that builds over time. To an avoidant, showing up every day, regardless of the circumstances, is an act of vulnerability. It's their way of saying, "I care," without needing to verbalize it in ways that might make them uncomfortable. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When dealing with someone who expresses love through consistency, it's important to change your mindset and focus on these small, everyday gestures as proof of their affection. Their consistency shows reliability, stability, and care. This is their form of commitment, and it may be far more meaningful and enduring than a fleeting emotional outburst. Think of it like the steady beat of a drum. It may not always be the loudest sound, but it's the rhythm that keeps everything in sync, that builds the foundation of trust over time. It's essential to recognize that in an avoidance world, vulnerability is something to be navigated carefully. While you might long for open, intense emotional conversations, an avoidant would rather show their feelings through actions than words. Their consistency becomes a safe space for both them and their partner, ensuring they express affection without feeling exposed. But the truth is, even if it's subtle, it speaks volumes. That routine good morning text, or the way they remember the smallest details you share, shows that they're paying attention, that they are there for you, and that they care deeply. This is something you should cherish because, for an avoidant, this consistent presence is their form of love. Don't mistake their quiet actions for indifference. Understand that their love is steady, dependable, and grounded in their desire to be there for you, even if they're not saying it in the most overt way. Don't take it for granted either. The simple things matter. They are the true expression of how much someone loves you, especially when they don't have the tools or comfort to express it through words. As you navigate relationships with avoidant individuals, remember, love is not always about grand gestures. It's about being there consistently, showing up when it matters, and doing so without needing validation or recognition. If you can recognize the power of consistency in these small, everyday actions, you will come to understand the depth of the connection you share with them. So the next time you question whether an avoidant loves you, stop focusing on the lack of intensity and instead pay attention to their presence in your life, day in and day out. In a world that often equates love with big displays and emotional extremes, we often forget that true love can be found in the simple, consistent things. These small acts of care, loyalty, and reliability build a foundation of trust that outlasts fleeting moments of passion. Love, as an avoidant expresses it, is steady, constant, and quietly powerful. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you noticed the subtle yet powerful consistency in your own relationships? How does it make you feel when love is shown in this way? Hey there, thanks for sticking around. I hope this video helps shed some light on the often misunderstood ways avoidants show love. It can be tough to decode, but remember, love isn't always about loud declarations or big gestures. Sometimes it's the quiet, consistent actions that speak the loudest. So if you're in a relationship with someone who is avoidant, try to focus on their actions instead of what they're not saying. Give them the space they need, and don't take their silence personally. Be patient and understand that love for them can be about stability and subtlety, not grandiosity. When you start to see their small, quiet gestures of care, you'll realize how deeply they're invested. Remember, understanding attachment styles can really strengthen a relationship. So take the time to learn more and be compassionate with each other. Trust the process, and love will show up in ways you might not expect. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.